The Rivers State government has withdrawn the approval it earlier granted to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to use the Adokie Amie Simaka Stadium for its presidential rally. This is stated in a circular released by the Rivers State Sports Commissioner, Barrister Chris Green, who explained that the decision was taken because of their discovery that the PDP is in alliance with some members of the All Progressives Congress in the state. The latest development is coming at a time when the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Rivers State, Tonye Cole, is calling for a declaration of a state of emergency in the state, following a series of attacks on the campaign team of the APC. Joining us now from Port Harcourt to discuss the recent attack against the APC campaign team in Rivers State and the latest development of withdrawal of campaign rally venue is the APC Governorship Candidate in Rivers State, Tonye Cole. Good morning, Mr. Cole, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayo. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Well, two things that Ayo Mayo had already pointed out. Your request that the president should declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. If you'd like to talk, about that. And then secondly, in the notice of withdrawal of the approval for the PDP to use the stadium, the Rivers State government said the PDP planning a rally for, I think, February 11 is in collusion with you. And you are leader of a violent faction of the APC, and that the state cannot allow violent people to come and destroy, state assets. But here you are, you had also before then asked for a state of emergency. Well, the PDP in another statement, they've said it doesn't make sense that PDP will join APC to do a rally. But the state government is quoting credible intelligence, and your name was mentioned in about 2 or 3, 4 paragraphs.
Thank you, Ruben, for this and this opportunity to come and let Nigerians know the truth. You can hide behind a lie for only so long, and after a while, the truth begins to come out. Most of the violence that has been perpetrated in Rivers State has been by the ruling party, and it's only now that it's coming out. It is laughable that a party that has been at the forefront of anti-party activities will now accuse us of exactly the same thing. It has been on record that our state here, Rivers State, has actively invited and brought all members of other parties to come at commissioning, giving money to other parties, trying to destabilize APC in Rivers State. All of that has failed. So it's very laughable to read what was sent out yesterday, making it an excuse to deny a PDP faction that they are already fighting hard against. So this is an internal party thing, not what has nothing to do with APC. The party, PDP, is factionalized, is divided in Rivers State. And so this is just about them and not about me at all.
All right, so in your call to the president in terms of declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State due to the state of thuggery and violence, you had hinted on the complicity of the Commissioner of Police in the state with the state governor, Nyesom Wike. I'd like you to expand on this, because that's quite a grave accusation that the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State is not being neutral.
At the end of the day, one of the things that we must do is call to attention everybody to what is already smoke and leading towards a raging inferno. What we're saying here, that call for the state of emergency, is driven by the fact that we know these things. We've seen it happen. When these attacks began, and the information coming out is that it is going to escalate up until election day. At the last election in 2019, by the time we got to election day, there were parts of the state that were totally taken over by armed thugs, especially in my hometown, Abonima, where by the time I got into Abonima for the presidential election in 2019, They had taken over the entire town. There was sporadic shooting for hours to make sure that nobody would come in. I was driving into the town and they were telling me no APC can stay here. Shootings and all of that. We want to make sure that we avoid the kind of mass deaths that occurred as a result of all of this. When that whole episode finished, I remember they began to accuse us, saying that it was APC that carried out those attacks. These things have to stop. We are not interested in any more deaths in Rivers State. And so when we say that we are calling for a state of emergency, it is so that we can prevent further deaths from occurring in Rivers State. Investment has fled this state as a result of this moniker that Rivers State has been seen as a very violent place, a place where investors cannot invest safely, where law and order does not exist, and where the government is an emperor-led government. We have to stop all of that.
I'd like to ask you, a lot has been happening, but what specifically happened in Opobo?
You know, Opobo was again one of those escalations that happened. As we got to Opobo, first, as we were going to Opobo, we got information that they had destroyed the venue. We saw the videos, they totally destroyed the stage, destroyed all the sound equipment that had been put up overnight, such that we could not get, we had no venue. We put all of that back together, but critically, there was an abduction of our local government chairman, my campaign coordinator in Opobo. He was abducted. As we were heading to Opobo, we saw them going past, and so we gave information that we have just seen 2 Sienna cars that looked very suspicious going past. Thankfully, we had another convoy that was coming behind my convoy. We turned around and started giving chase. We managed to block them at Bori, and we were able to release our local government chairman from the abductors. By the time we got back into Opobo, so this delayed us for about 2 hours. By the time we got back into Opobo and we began to walk into the town, we came down and we began to walk into the town. And we were doing our normal door-to-door and just singing normally. And we came towards the end of the road. They had put blocks so that the cars could not go past. And the next thing, stones, bottles, bullets from all over. Now some had to take cover, and we saw that there was no way. The exchange of gunfire became intense. And for a while, we couldn't move. We were trapped. Opobo is a one-road town. So from behind us, we were locked in. In front, we were locked in. And there was shooting from all over. You have side roads and alleys and all of that. So we just had to stay on the main road. For 2 hours, this occurred. The police sent reinforcement, and when that reinforcement came, there was an increased exchange of gunfire, which then suppressed, and then tear gas, which suppressed everything. We cannot in 2023 begin to see this kind of thing. They refused to allow us to get to the venue. We tried on 3 occasions to advance to break through the barricade, and 3 times bottles, bullets, and stones. They destroyed our cars, destroyed an ambulance completely with axes and all of that. You know, we cannot continue this way. So we saw all of this. At the end, we had to fight our way out of Opobo, make sure that everybody had left. I stayed behind because I knew that as soon as I leave, then all the security men that came with me would leave. So myself and Dakuku Peterside stayed until we ensured that everybody that came with us had left, after which we left. And I went straight to the CP of police to report the matter, that this cannot continue.
Well, Mr. Cole, let's talk about programs that you have. Governor Wike says the fate of APC is sealed in Rivers State, particularly after he was given that infrastructure award by the federal government, by President Buhari. And he said, look, he's done so much for the people of Rivers State. He's Mr. Projects. He has been commissioning projects now for months, and his supporters say he's Mr. Project. You know, so he says, you know, APC should not even bother because the election has even been won and lost. Okay, if you were to succeed and you win, what will you do differently? And do you agree with him that the fate of APC is sealed?
Okay, so let's start with the fate of APC being sealed. Part of the reason why the campaigns are being frustrated, why we had an executive order 20 and 21 put in place, why we are being denied access to rally grounds and all of that, is because they know that those things will show our strength. And they are absolutely afraid of APC's popularity in the grassroots. We know, I've been doing grassroots politics ever since I entered into politics. And each time we go door to door, we go word to word, we see that the people are frustrated. And why are they frustrated? There are two reasons here. The first is that at the grassroots, none of these policies that the government has implemented has impacted the human development index of the individual at the grassroots. They don't feel the government. That's number one. The second aspect of the frustration that the people have at the bottom of the pyramid is that the minute you leave Obiapo and you leave Port Harcourt, the two local governments that conceit the greater Port Harcourt that we have, the minute you leave that, you find many areas of River State that are ungoverned spaces. There is no presence of government, there are no police force, no magistrate court, nothing, no presence, no hospital, schools are dilapidated, no projects, no bridges. So you find Obiapo and Falga where most of the projects have been concentrated, and many others that have no presence at all. So what am I going to do different? The first thing is that we are going to be a government that incorporates everybody, carries everybody along. We must be a government that remembers that there are 23 local governments and not just 2 local governments. We have to be a government that remembers that human beings matter. Their lives matter, their education matter, their health matters. It's very important. We have one of the highest levels of youth unemployment in the state, and nobody's paying attention to that. That youth employment means that we have one of the highest numbers of cultism in Nigeria. It is violent. We need to address that. These youths need to be engaged, properly respected. Lastly, we have a traditional institution that is terrified. We are going to communities and the first-class chiefs are hiding. They cannot come out to meet because they are terrified of a government that has threatened them and will remove their stools. How can we be so disrespectful to the very grassroots foundation of our culture and tradition? All of these things must change. We will be a government for all the people of River State. That is what I bring. And that's the hope that people see that they are following us, which the government is now afraid of and is trying to stop. They can't stop it.
All right, so you've mentioned the things that, Dr. Bati had asked you as to what Wike had done in River State. I'd like you to discuss your plans in detail. So what would you do differently? He's talked about the fact that he's done infrastructure. On what strengths are you campaigning for the people of River State?
Okay, so we're campaigning on 3 pillars, and all of them are people-centered. The first aspect of it is social welfare. We must make sure that the money that has been stolen or kept at the top and hidden away and all must reach the people. Rivers is a very rich state, very wealthy state with extremely poor people. So we must make sure that that wealth trickles down to the very bottom of the pyramid. So social welfare, what some might call stomach infrastructure, what others may call cash, conditional cash transfers, things that elevate the people and elevate their spending power. Very important. So we're going to drive that, first of all, on one pillar, social welfare pillar. The second one, which must bring new businesses back into River State, is peace, security, law, and order. That entire structure that gives the legal framework to knowing that you can come and do business here freely. Nobody is going to cancel your CFO. Nobody is going to threaten you. We must welcome businesses here. So that infrastructure that is built on peace, security, law, and order, we're going to deal with that aspect of it. That's the second pillar, all people-centered. The last one is developmental infrastructure. This means that everything that will bring development in, whether it's in agriculture, education, health, work, employment, entrepreneurship, all of those things will be brought in. Those are the 3 pillars. Building on that developmental infrastructure is one key thing, which is that we must diversify the city-state We're a one-city state. So we have to build 3 new cities, including Port Harcourt. You have 2 others outside of Port Harcourt. We must develop them, and they are theme cities. One around productivity, industry, the other one around technology. Those are the 3 things that will be built on the developmental infrastructure platform.
In all of this, with all of these attacks, I'd like to ask you this. Has your, other competitors in the race even reached out to you with all of these attacks on you? Has people like Sim Fubara even called you up to say, oh, Tonye, I heard about this. What happened? Sorry.
Sim has never called me, I don't know if he has my number, I don't have his number, I've never seen him. Every other person I know, we know each other. I know Dumo very well, I know Dawari George, I know Magnus Abe. These are people we talk to. Magnus and I have spoken about these attacks, Dumo has spoken about the attack, Dawari has spoken about the attack. Sim has never called. I have never seen him. If he comes out, he will walk past me, I don't know who he is. And that is the fallacy of this kind of thing. How can we, as leading politicians in this state, not even know each other or speak to each other? Every other person who is running in this race, we're in regular contact. We're speaking, we meet, we come out for debates. Sim has never come out for a debate. We've been invited to so many places where stakeholders just want to know, as political parties, what are you going to do? You will not believe that the police and INEC have called on 2 occasions that all political parties should come, 3 occasions. All political parties and their candidates should come so that we can discuss on peace in the state ahead of the elections. The candidate for the PDP has never shown up, not once. I've never seen him. Magnus was there, I was there, Dumo was there. Sim never came out. And I think it's time he comes out. I've invited him so many times. Let us have a sit down. Let us talk about peace and security. Let us talk about the future of Rivers State. Let's sit down and debate what we want to bring to the people. I've never seen him. No, he has never called me.
Okay, quickly, because we seem to be running out of time. There's this story reflected, in fact, in the response of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council at paragraph 5, that they are aware that, I think 4 and 5, paragraphs 4 and 5, that they are aware that Governor Wike has instructed state government officials and all his supporters that is a candidate of the APC at the presidential level that they should support. I mean, you as the gubernatorial candidate of the APC, you know, if some of your followers have been told this is how you should vote during the presidential election in Rivers State. Are you aware of that? Do you have clear indications as to that? Is the PDP Rivers saying the truth by saying that such an instruction has been passed around?
You know, it's a very small community, and politics is a small family, and we know each other very, very, very well. So one of the things that we have heard is that they have given instructions to all the local government chairmen to do 2 things. First, to prevent APC from holding any kind of rally, disrupt all our rallies. So the local government chairmen are under threat that they will be disciplined severely if they allow us to come and hold any rally. So that we know, that we have heard. We've also heard that they have been given strict instructions that they must not support Atiku in any way. That one we know. Now, whether they have been given instructions that they must support Tinubu, that I haven't heard. But I know for a fact that they are not supporting Atiku. I know that they are not supporting us, APC Rivers State. They've said that we must be totally disrupted. But I have not heard yet from them that they are supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my presidential candidate. So what Wike had said that he will make an announcement on the 31st of January about whom he is supporting. We waited for that announcement. That announcement did not come. However, he did say that all his party members know who he is supporting. So maybe the rumors might be true that he's told them, but I haven't heard, I cannot confirm.
Thank you very much indeed.